What's up, gamers, geeks, PC builders, players, and everyone else? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day and are ready to win some frames, because that's the goal here in our Build a Gaming PC series. We want to talk about the PC that's going to give you the absolute best value for your money. Today, we're going to look at the $1,000 gaming PC in this series, but also above, just like the other videos, you can check out all of our other prices to see what fits you best. Okay, so let's jump right into the parts. Here's the PC build. You can always go to the upper right-hand corner, check out the card there where it takes you directly to the website where we have polls, all kinds of extra information on these PC builds, things like that. But I just want to get to the build. Now we're gonna visit a topic we talked about a little bit in the $700, $800 build, and that is Haswell versus Skylake. Now, as you can see, I chose the i5-6500 here. And if you're an overclocker, you might be thinking, well, why don't you go with the 6600K? That's a great CPU. I can get more performance from it from overclocking. Mainly the reason is because the Skylake K processors, the unlocked ones, are all a little bit overpriced right now. Let me show you an example. Here's the 6500, the prices we have here in the US versus the 6600K. Now this is Micro Center. They're always doing some crazy deal if you can go to the store. For me, the gas money doesn't warrant the savings in price here, but your normal price for that i5 6600K, Newegg $269.99, Amazon $299. Obviously, they ran out and somebody's upselling there, but as you can see, it's just not really a possibility to get that 6600K. So what are you really adding to this PC if you get that unlocked processor? Well, you're adding about $115, and really at that price point, maybe you're better off looking for a GPU. Maybe you're better off going with a Haswell build. Now, if you go with the Haswell i5 4690K, because you can get a slightly cheaper motherboard, and because the i5 4690K is usually about $230, you can do it for just about the same amount of money as this PC build. So that's definitely an option here. But I made this build specifically for Skylake. So here's a look at it and why I chose each part. All right, so the i5 6500, let's talk about it at about $199.99 or $199.99. Like you needed to know the 99 cents, right? I laugh at myself sometimes. But it's about the same price as the i5 4460 from Haswell. So at the same price, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you go with Skylake? Well, as we talked about in a previous build, it does cost you about $70 more, even at this price point, even at a similarly priced CPU. Between the motherboard and the RAM and everything here, it's going to cost you about $70 more. But I still think it's worth it. I think it's worth, when you're spending $1,000, it's worth it to look forward to that next generation. And it's something that I would do at this point and would recommend myself. It just stretch a little bit, maybe stretch my budget a little if I had to stick with that latest generation. MSI Z170A PC mate, fairly decent low to mid-range board that if you wanted to overclock on, you certainly could. If you want to go for a solid mid-range board, you can go with the Asus Z170-A for about $30 more. But I really think that Z170A PC mate is going to be enough for most. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, is just getting more motherboard than they actually need, thinking that somehow it's going to miraculously improve their performance above that of a less expensive motherboard when they're not tweaking and doing things like that. So moving on, for memory, the Corsair Vengeance LPX, 8 gigabytes of RAM. I'm just getting the 2400 megahertz one. 2400 megahertz, I've said this before, that's kind of the magic spot where everything just feels good. The frame, you get the most frame benefit from that jump from 2133 to 2400. It was kind of like that jump to 1600 megahertz for DDR3. We did incorporate a solid state drive into this build. It is going to cost money. I think this drive was about $70 to $80. And, you know, you can make an argument here that between this hard drive, this solid state drive and this hard drive, you could save $80 here and you could put more towards your graphics card. But me personally, my gaming PC becomes more than just a gaming PC. It becomes something I use for work, something I use for the YouTube channel. And for me, that performance, that everyday real world performance actually crosses the line of what I actually need in a gaming PC. So I would rather have a snappier computer than more frames in gaming. I'd rather turn down the frames in gaming just because I use this thing every single day, and most of the time it's not for gaming. You know, just a few hours every day it's for gaming. Now, for this build, if you're willing to go $30 over the budget, you can go with the R9 390X. But I'm going to highly recommend you go with the GTX 980 here if you're in that $400 price range. Stretch and go to $460 and go with the GTX 980. It's more energy efficient. It beats the R9 390X handily in 1080p. That distance drops at 1440p. It's not as noticeable at 4K. The 390X does actually beat the GTX 980, but the truth of the matter is that if you've got a 980, you're not going to really be doing 4K. If you want to do 4K, you're looking more like at the 980 Ti or something like that. So if you want to stick with the budget, you can choose between the GTX 970 or R9 390. I can talk a little bit more about why I would choose the 970 or over the R9 390, but mainly it's because of energy efficiency and that free game that you regularly get with that 970. Speaking of that, with the GTX 980, you get a free AAA title right now as well. So if you need that AAA title, then that R9 390X and that GTX 980, they're a lot more similar in price than they look. And at that level, you're going to go with the GTX 980. All right, taking a look at the rest of the parts, we're going with the Corsair Spec 02. It's been on sale lately. You can get it for around $50. Great new case. The Seasonic 12G is kind of in that tier 1 to 2 range for me as far as power supplies are concerned. Again, you're spending more money here to extend the life of a component that you're going to use for a really, really long time. And for me, that's well worth it. Not only that, you get a little bit more energy efficiency. And if you live in a country where energy is very expensive, here it's only like 12 cents per kilowatt hour, but you know, overseas I know it gets in that 40-50 cents range. If you're in those kind of areas, then you want to be as energy efficient as possible. Why wouldn't you? Because over time, those kind of things end up costing you. So why not go with a better product right now that's going to offer you more reliability and energy efficiency? And so that's why I would recommend that on this build. All right, you awesome people, that's really all I have for you today. But I just wanted to talk about a couple things. One is how you can support us. You can do it in a way that's not going to cost you any money. And if you go in the description below, you'll find Amazon links there. If you use those Amazon links, click off those links when you go to build your PC, shop for your holiday, Christmas presents, whatever, then that gives a small kickback to the channel. So the goal of this is to raise enough money that every quarter I can build like 10 or 11 gaming PCs, put them in front of you, benchmark them, and then resell those so that I can do that kind of every quarter. So that's the dream here. You can help me out by liking and subscribing this video, sharing, commenting in the comment section below. That adds exposure and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll see you next time.